So sometimes when you think that you don't have enough to move forward, but you have that desire to move forward, you have to re examine what's in your hand. Because if that urge is on you to do something, then you need to step out and do it. And to further illustrate this, I'm going to use the story of Gideon and also be very transparent about my own recent discovery. So this is Talk Time with Coach D. What's up, people? For those that don't know me, my name is Coach Denise. I am the owner and principal consultant of Never Stop Growing Coaching and Consulting. It's a coaching practice rooted in the belief that if you transform the way you see yourself, you'll expand what's possible. And so that's what I walk my clients through, transformation for expansion. So let's go, baby. Link is in the comment section or the little section below. All right. So anyway, my own personal story, right? During talk times, I like to share like the discoveries and my personal growth journey. And so here is one of the recent ones. All right, so I'm not real good with quoting Bible scriptures and whatnot. Like, I'm developing my faith. And so I knew Gideon had some Bibles named after him, and I knew Gideon was a character in the Bible, but I didn't necessarily realize that Gideon was the 300 dude. So the 300 dude is the one that fought off thousands with only 300 men. Okay. It's also very similar to the movie 300, a little different, but similar at the same time, whatever. Anyway, so I really didn't know who Gideon was. But for some reason, Gideon kept coming into my atmosphere. And what I mean by that is I talk about paying attention to the things that catch your attention, right? So for some reason, Gideon kept catching my attention over like the last couple of weeks, like the name, the word. I'd be watching something or listening to something, or a random thought would come in my head about Gideon. So I was like, all right. Finally, today, I'm out for my walk, right? My walk is all about health on a 360 lens. Like, this is where I clear my mind. This is where I get some physical activity in, all the above, right? And so Gideon pops into my head again. And so when I sit down, I stop to go eat and I sit down to eat and I'm like, screw it, I'm gonna go look up Gideon. Okay. I stumble upon this thing from Sarah Jakes Roberts, and she's talking about how Gideon is like threshing the wheat in a wine press. And I was like, oh, okay, that's also Gideon. I heard that story. And then how Gideon felt like he didn't have what he needed to do what God was calling him to do. And then the clip kind of cuts off. And so I'm like, well, dang, I'm real interested in learning more. But in that moment, I realized that that little piece of information was all that I needed in this moment. And then so I just started to think, and I'm asking myself, I always tell you guys, go within, ask yourself questions within. What does this mean for me? Why am I called to this? Why is this attracted? Why am I attracting this? Like, ask yourself the what and why questions, period, point blank, across the board. You will get answers. So in me doing what I tell y'all to do, here's what came, and I'm gonna just say it as plain and clear as I can. The things, when we have desires that we want to carry something out, and we feel like we are not enough of something, or we don't have enough of something, we're limiting our abilities to test who we are and what we actually have. And so for me specifically, I feel like God was trying to get me to understand that whatever he's called me to do, the things that I've come to rely on and think that I need in order to do those tasks that he's called me to do, I don't need. And so he's repurposing the things that I do have. A saying that I love and that I speak about often on multiple levels, not just spiritual, is what's in your hand, right? And when I think about that saying of what's in your hand, for me, it means what do you have? What knowledge do you have? What feelings do you have? What heart posture? What resources do you have? Put them all on the table, line them out. When you're facing a challenge or when you want to do something, ask yourself, what do I have? And then see how you can repurpose it, because what you have is sufficient enough. And if nothing else, what you have is sufficient enough to get you started until you figure out your next. So bringing it back to the story with Gideon and where it left off, I felt like God was trying to say that I've come up with these concepts of what security looks like for me. And money is a big factor in what security looks like for me. And God was trying to show me in this last year and a half a whole new way of looking at security in my life. You know, I left my full-time job at the start of 2022. And that whole entire year, God blessed me. I went on 2 vacations. I went to a conference. I ran my business. And then at the start of this year, it was like, okay, I want to do more. And so he blessed me, like gifted me with this amazing part-time job that by itself covers all of my overhead while I still am able to grow my business. And excuse me, that was just a perfect example of go at what I gave you. Right? At the start of the year 2022, I was like panicking because my sense of security was, I'm not going to be able to make this. My income was cut into a fifth of what I was making the year prior. And so I was overwhelmed with anxiety because my security rested in the 2-week paycheck that I was getting. But God was trying to tell me, what you have is all you need, so I can show you more. And the things that have happened to me, I'm not even going to talk about my business, the things that have happened to me personally in that year and a half where God was able to separate me from the hustle and bustle of work has been immeasurable on all levels. And so I started thinking today again about the story of Gideon when I was asking my what and the why, and I realized that God is trying to say that exactly what you have is all you need. But I got something else for you guys, because there was a part 2 to this, right? The other thought that came, the other big aha was that sometimes we feel like God is like, you know what, I'm just going to work with what you got. It's fine. You don't have a lot, but I'll show you a miracle out of what you got. It's not a pity thing. He doesn't pity you. He's not doing things with what you have because it's like, you can't get any more. I look down upon you and see you as like inadequate and incapable. That's not what it is. It's not a pity thing. It is showing you that I can strip away, I being he, that he can strip away everything that we thought we needed and work with exactly what we have. It is showing us not to limit the capabilities of our current resources. It's showing us not to limit the capabilities of who we are to just what we think we need to be. Some people come to me and when we're first starting sessions, they're like, yeah, help me get through this application process for school, or help me get through this process for interviewing for new jobs and so forth. And it's just like, okay. You know, when they come to me, I meet you where you're at. But when I start doing my coaching sessions and doing the coaching questions to transform their thinking, they start to realize that some of them, not all, right? Some actually, this is the right trajectory. But some start to realize you didn't need that extra job. You didn't need to change careers. You didn't need to go back to school. What you have is sufficient enough to get what you want. You just needed to look at it differently. And I feel like that's what is happening with this story of Gideon. It is, God doesn't pity you. He doesn't look down on you. He doesn't think that you're pathetic and incapable. And you shouldn't either. Because exactly what you have right now as you're watching this video is all that you need to do the thing that you are desiring, that your heart is calling you to do. But when I tell you guys, you got to go inward and you got to hear what your heart posture is saying. You got to ask yourself the what and the why questions internally, because if you don't, you are going to be using your eyes and the influences of external factors to figure out what it is that you want. And then you're going to start going in directions that were never meant for you. Which is why I really stress the whole purpose of the whole premise of living authentically. But in order to live authentically, you got to know who you authentically are. So go inside and tap into those parts of you that you suppressed so long and ask yourself, who would you want to be? What would you want to do? Without any fear, any doubt, any worry. That's also what the story of Gideon is trying to get across to us, is that whatever you may think about yourself, whatever you may think about your limitations, God is greater than your thoughts. So you might as well just set the worry down and rest in him. Because one thing I can tell y'all, and I say this a lot, worry is a choice. And it is a choice that you have the ability to set down. Because God didn't give it to you. He told you what to do, and that's just it. And in our own minds, our perceptions of things cause us to worry, which is why transformational coaching is so big. Because it shifts your perspective of things to lessen the worry. And then you start to realize you have options. You can either choose to worry, or you can choose to rely on the fact that you've overcome other obstacles. And you can overcome this too. Or you've made other gains in your life, and you can gain this too. And on that note, I'm going to end Talk Time with Coach D. I hope this was inspiring for you as it was for me. In the meantime, y'all make sure y'all follow the page, share this with whomever, comment below because I love to hear from you guys. And if you are in need of some coaching support, the details on how to book me, there's going to be a link tree in the description below. Click on that link tree and book your consultation session. It's free. The other thing that I want to invite you to do is to sign up for my mailing list. So I have two separate lists, emails that I send out, two separate mailing lists, but it's all one link. So when you go to my website, thekeynsg.com, you're going to find a pop-up that says drop your email to be a part of the newsletter. If you leave a professional email, a business email, you are going to get, excuse me, you're going to get information on my professional development services. If you leave a personal email, you're going to get information on my personal development services. Feel free to log out and go back in and sign up 2 times if you want, both of them. And I really do not like overwhelming people with emails because I just don't like it myself. So 2 emails a month max. In the meantime, that's all I got for y'all. So never stop growing, people. Bye.